A few years ago when we rebranded as Diversity Arts Australia, one of the things that we really wanted to do was to centre culturally diverse artists in the advocacy work that we did. Centering artists as the people who would be, you know, kind of identifying key issues and creating works that were responding to those issues. The Pacesetters project brought together 4 trailblazing artists, Aamer Rahman, Busty Beatz, Rani, Pramesti and Latai, Taumoepeau, and Fadia Abboud also worked on the project at the beginning. So at the beginning of the project, Paschal Berry, who was the creative director, and myself, I was the creative producer, came together and had some conversations about how we wanted to structure this. And we decided we would have an intensive kind of discussion with the artists over several days, and we would present to them as part of that a series of provocations. And so we then presented those to the creatives, and we had some pretty phenomenal conversations. What all of the discussions seemed to keep coming back to was the erasure and exclusion of people of colour and First Nations people in the arts and creative sectors. That there had been these amazing pacesetters, that there had been these people who had made change, who we were kind of standing on the shoulders of, and without the work that had come before us, we wouldn't be able to be where we are, but that this work had been erased and was constantly being erased. What's been really important about this project, and that's been identified by the artists themselves, is the need to develop an archives, like an actual cultural archives that we care for, we develop, and that we can have a space for these stories so that we can learn from what's happened in the past and build on that. And so it's given us a real kind of energy at Diversity Arts to really go for it and start, you know, imagining what this archive will look like, start dreaming it. So this project has been really, really significant and just kind of affirms the importance of trusting artists and creatives to lead the work of advocacy and to inform it.
I'm not pioneering things, you know. All I'm doing is I'm continuing these conversations, I'm continuing the work, I'm continuing the advocacy, I'm continuing the community engagement.
It's great, actually. It's like, you know, it's setting the pace, setting the example, the resilience of continuing to set the pace from those who've come before us.
I do think of myself as holding a space that is making space available for other people who identify with what I do.
It's the same way we look for friends, really, in Australia. It's like just looking for people who understand our experience.
The Pacesetters project was an initiative started by Diversity Arts Australia, enabling artists to create works responding to themes such as race, diversity and inclusion in the Australian arts sector. In partnership with Blacktown Arts, Diversity Arts Australia officially launched the project at the Leo Kelly Blacktown Arts Centre.
It was really fantastic to see all of the artists and the work that they were doing, really inspiring, and diving into those archives and seeing some of the histories that were being told.
You know, the voices stand on their own.
It created that kind of solidarity sense, that sisterhood, brotherhood kind of sense.
It creates a much more kind of exciting dialogue in terms of the possibilities of where it can go later on.
People have been fighting for change for a very long time, and it happens in fits and starts, but there are precedents for that happening in Australia.
We can't be kind of stuck in the same questions, in the same kind of problematics. Something has to move, and something has to evolve into a much better conversation than either self-victimization or framing yourself as in the outer.
It's a culmination of a process, and they talked about the process as well as what's going to happen after. And so I think what's important is that the event reflects the process, and the process continues. It's about the depth and the breadth. And I'm actually really inspired by the fact that people can talk openly about this rage in this kind of setting, because in a lot of the work I do, it has to be done very covertly.
You create safety, so then you can take risks artistically and politically and culturally. So this kind of environment for the audience that you're asking me about, it creates that energy.
We have to stay true to our practices, and that comes through our own communities, building our own communities of practice. The centre is us, and that's our source of power.
A great information, especially a person of colour, just emerging towards the arts. Having this information with established artists of people of colour, it's kind of enlightening and also exciting to see what's going to happen. I have a chance!